You guys already know about the powerful people in the Infamous saga, like the fact I've already went over Cole, the OG, when it comes to the Infamous game. These beings that have superpowers are called conduits. They kind of remind me of mutants from Marvel Comics. Among the many powerful mutant type of beings in this Infamous universe. What is conduits, you ask? They're beings in this universe that are technically a subspecies of humans who possess superhuman abilities due to the conduit gene, which sounds like a lot like the X gene from Marvel Comics, but this is not Marvel Comics. But believe it or not, there are other conduits that have abilities, not just electric abilities either when it comes to conduits, this being known as Delsin. He's actually a versatile conduit type character. When it comes to different elements he can use, can manipulate concrete, can manipulate neon, aka light. He even has smoke manipulation and video manipulation. One can argue Delsin is one of the most dangerous conduits because throughout the events of Infamous Second Son, the video game, he gets power up after power up because of his ability. Thanks to other conduits he encounters, like the smoke conduit, he gets their abilities, interacting with them and such. Even conduits that have neon light abilities, he copies too and gets it for himself, which is why he becomes so deadly. That's how he got video manipulation from this one conduit, copying him. And that's why he has concrete manipulation, because of another one that he copied. It doesn't take rocket science to know that the reason why he's so powerful is because of his different elements and his blast power, right? But it's not only his blast power you gotta worry about. His abilities allow him to do superhuman stuff even when they're just awakened. For example, when it comes to just pure physical attributes, he can move cars with his physical strength because of his new abilities and all that good stuff. It kind of just helps him out in that regard, right? He's physically strong enough to rip doors off. There's examples like this: when beings are encased in concrete, he still can move them or pull them with one arm. With just straight strength, so he's superhuman, obviously. It's obviously he's strong because of the way he hits extremely hard without blasting. He's strong enough to straight up break cages with strikes and stuff. Even if you got concrete armor and he's way too strong for you, you get smashed. Damaging vehicles is easy for being on his level of power. So he's strong physically without imbuing his punches with elements, but then he can make his strikes harder by imbuing his body with elements. So if you see him trying to punch you, his hand looks like this, you might want to run. All this burning wood timber type bullcrap. He loves using a chain, by the way. He can just break with strikes. That simple. Depending on how he feels, he can incinerate folks if he wants to be evil with his strikes. He loves using this chain and imbuing it with neon or light to mess entities up. Or one could say even disintegrate them if he wished. He can make like big old lightsaber type construct, sword type stuff. Yeah, because a video torrent element. Or if you choose the evil path, he can do like legit claws. Can summon his own sword to do that if he wishes. Or enhance himself to strike hard enough to knock around cars. Can technically stab beings and make them into pixels with this weird ability. Notice how with an ordinary kick, he can kick folks that far. I almost feel bad for these officers. It's like, why would they even try to fight a being on this level of power? All three of y'all get wiped. Even if he decides to hold back, he still can make big area of effect type of attacks. Strikes or destructive drops like this. He already can punch or strike hard by imbuing his items or his fists with energy or whatever, but he can also increase his crazier strength with concrete manipulation. To enhance himself even further, he makes crazy shockwaves with punching power and such. Literally everything about him is enhanced, even his durability, to the point where he can just straight up get shot. Yes, like straight up. And his body will actually help heal him on its own. Fast healing stuff, he says. He's highly resistant to bullets and stuff, but he can heal if he does somehow get injured. So it lets you know how crazy he is. All the elements he can use, if he sees that element in the environment, he can use that element to heal himself, no matter which one we're talking about, whether it's smoke, light, aka neon. If he sees a light in the area, he can heal himself if he needs to, or drain video stuff to heal himself, or heal others, apparently. Just like that. One can make an argument that he can ignore damage technically, because he can technically turn it into smoke itself. We've seen him dash as a literal cloud of smoke and embers, bro. Yeah. So it's kind of like on some intangible stuff. Boom. Boom. He can technically give himself extra durability, even though he already has superhuman durability, by giving himself concrete armor. Or just straight up turn into a big old rock-like ball. Like, he's a legit juggernaut with all this stone manipulation running through stuff. Like, yeah. An argument can be made in the lore he could technically fly, but gameplay mechanics doesn't want you to just fly around the place, but instead they want you to free roam normally. But if I'm being honest, no matter which element he decides to use, he's very destructive when it comes to blast power. Even when he uses smoke, he can blast thick concrete pillars like that. or blow up cars with smoke blast. Smoke is a lot more powerful than you think. Drones he can even blast down. His smoke blast can technically incinerate beings if he just wanted to be a butthole. Large chunks of concrete he can just blow up with ease. Towers and cars are no match for the destruction. Yeah, he can definitely blast apart APC like tank type stuff with one freaking shot. Just to start off everything strong, this super conduit legit has an on-screen feat of showing his blast power using video type of bullcrap to literally sink an entire island thanks to his video manipulation ability, one of the many elements he can use. Yeah, you can see the size comparison to an actual city. He can sink an island. That kind of blast power. Way bigger than skyscraper building. So he can quite literally blast islands apart with destructive capacity. That's like admitting bruh is like a walking nuclear bomb. That means with a mighty enough energy blast, he can just pull up to a city and say bye-bye to the entire city. The reason why doing this to this entity, Augustine, is impressive, trapping this entity in concrete, might I add, to where she's defenseless, is because she's a conduit that's considered one of the most powerful conduits of all time. Him doing this to Augustine is impressive because she is the most powerful conduit ever, apparently. Not to mention fighting other conduits on his level. Since she's the end of the game boss, she has to be the toughest. And during this point in the game, he is at his peak, and he can still battle this being and overpower her, even though she's making this big old giant rock avatar bullcrap. And he was able to blast this bullcrap apart and overpower this overpowered conduit. He is. So he could technically cut, blast, or strike mountains in half at the very least. Cars and walkways not safe when it comes to destruction. Yeah. Even if we're talking about boss battles, that doesn't stop him from destroying concrete. Can even use his smoke blast to just disorient you, basically, to where you're easy just to be taken down. The power to incinerate beings this easily is scary. There's heavy implications that if he really felt like it, he could shake buildings or towers or just straight up level it if he felt like it, for the simple fact he can use his speed or momentum, uses smoke-like thrusters to create a big area of effect like that. AKA one can say using speed to increase his attack power technically. When he uses other elements like the element of light, he still can blast with ridiculous force as well. The same thing he can do with his smoke, he can destroy tanks or APCs with his light blast power type stuff. It's that simple. Yarn, the basic destroying concrete blasts, destroying towers or cars. It's just that simple. Can do some Green Lantern type stuff to trap you in like a bubble. If he wants to with light, he can make a big area of effect to pretty much sweep the whole area when it comes to just raw power or radius, one could say. Look at the aftershock, how everything in the vicinity is affected. Being able to manipulate light has its perks, because Delsin can technically use this in the form of combat and increase his fighting speed, because he can literally turn into actual light, or one could say energy. So one can say he can move at light speed, but of course the game doesn't show him actually moving at light speed for our enjoyment so we can see what's going on. And if he stops abruptly, it can be used like a shockwave when it comes to his speed in conjunction with stopping on the spot. Because whatever Abigail can do, he can do too. Because he literally copied her powers, like I said earlier. She's one of those beings just like Delsin can use her strikes, use her speed in conjunction to make her strikes crazy, like hitting at near light speed or light speed. They can actually turn into their elements, like how she can turn into neon, and her powers come from neon sources, and Delsin has this ability. Even if you don't believe Delsin or Abigail is actually light speed, when they turn into it, that's okay. We at least know when they shoot with the beams of light, it's actual light at least. Not to mention in my previous Infamous video, they can react, or conduits in this universe can react to stuff that's lightning speed at least, if you don't want to take them being light speed seriously. Even when it comes to prisons that are meant to hold these beings, they've been shown to be able to break out with their raw destructive ability. They can increase their punching powers by turning into fast, rapid light. He can shoot digital blades at beings to mess up helicopters, for example, mess up radio towers with blasts. Oh, what do you know? He can blast apart tanks. Of course he can. Or one could say even a blade storm when he decides to be evil. He can straight up summon his own legion of type of constructs of a lot of bullcrap to come blitz you at the same time. Like, this is actually kind of scary. You would just get swarmed and it would clear a big area of effect for him without him having to do anything. He has a lot of different ways to trap you. For example, he can just trap you in concrete if he wishes, or if you're annoying him. Yeah. Did I mention he can actually turn invisible, my dude? Or summon digital allies that can actually fight alongside him while he's invisible? can create wing-like avatars on his back so he can kind of fly up buildings, or literally get to the point where he can travel through satellite dishes themselves, where he's like, yeah, different forms of energy he can turn into, whether light, satellite dish energy or whatever, or literally turning into smoke. He can turn into intangible stuff. What do you like about him the most, guys? Do you like the fact that he can pin you down with digital blades and take you out that way? Do you think his blast power is up there with the man, the myth, the legend himself, Cole, from the OG Infamous games? Or do you think Cole still has the title? How do you think Delsin compares to the legend? I want to hear your thoughts below. But yeah, he can definitely destroy islands with ease, move at light speed, or one could say react at lightning or light speed, possibly more. We don't know the limitations. He beat a conduit that's apparently the strongest of them all, which could put an argument up there to where he could be possibly above the man, the myth, the legend, Cole. But I want to hear your thoughts on that subject. I would say, logically speaking, he's somewhere up there with Cole, because beings that can withstand nuclear bombs or missiles, for example, ate a nuke. And this is the type of stuff Cole, the original Infamous being, has to take up. Cole eventually gets to the point where he actually curb stomps a being that withstood blasts from nukes. So for Delsin to be able to do stuff like this actually makes sense for the lore. This is not the first time we see them harm stuff that can withstand nuclear explosion type missile type stuff. It just kind of adds up with the universe's lore and how powerful these conduits are. I don't want to do any absurd reaching, but there is even a possibility he could be a moon shatterer, considering that Cole had to fight a being where in the future he messed up the moon apparently, but I don't want to reach too far. You can get more information about that in my infamous video about Cole. Before I get going, everybody, I hope you guys enjoyed. Thanks for the donations, everybody. Respect Delsin, one of the mightiest conduits of all time. I'm glad you are enjoying your time on the channel. Make sure you check out the playlist on the channel to see other How Strong videos. If you like what this channel is offering, make sure you hit that subscribe button, and I will see you guys later.